I can't tell you how many people I know we deal with that bought a house because the rates were low, but it really wasn't the house they wanted. And now they're in a situation where they want to get out of that house.
We all want to get the buyers and sellers taken care of. We want it to be a win-win for them. This isn't brain surgery. It's truly a puzzle, and I look at it as a puzzle, and you're just taking each day and each moment in real estate is just putting one more piece to the puzzle.
Is Texas the best market in the United States? Hello, I'm Michael Ferraro with SurePath Lending, and today I have Randall, Zamora, and Victoria DeLaCruz with me today.
Hey, Michael, how are you?
Good.
How are you, Michael?
Good.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course, anytime. Well, I guess we'll start off with this. What got you guys into real estate? When did you guys get into real estate? And how did you start your real estate career?
Well, I guess we'll start with me. Randall, Zamora, got into real estate really just kind of a fluke deal. Was helping a gal that was a realtor and became her assistant as an unlicensed assistant back in, I guess it's been 14, 15 years now. And then kind of learned the ins and outs of the back end stuff, kind of learned the contract at the time, and then moved down to San Antonio in 2013 and mentored under, at the time, number 2 and number 3 agents in San Antonio with a Remax brokerage down there.
Nice. Victoria?
Perfect. So I got started in the industry actually in Southern California, and it was actually on the lending side. So I have a little bit different path than Randall, but a little bit similar. Started out in a different area, started with lending, did business development for a really big team there. And then from there, I moved into title. And then finally, when I moved back to Dallas from Southern California, I just had an opportunity to join a team and go into real estate. And it was just a really good fit because I already understood all the other dynamics of the business. And it just seemed like a really natural flow to go into the real estate side.
Yeah, no, and definitely some follow-up questions for both of you guys. I guess we'll start with Randall. Is going from San Antonio, West Texas, like how do you describe like the differences in like the market, even though it being still Texas, like how do you describe the differences between the Dallas market, San Antonio market, whereas the Dallas market to the Lubbock market?
Quite a bit. So in San Antonio, I call San Antonio, I always have my real estate boot camp, if you will. Really just learn the ins and outs of just mentoring under them and learning everything I could, and moved back to Lubbock in West Texas, where I was around now a business where my natural sphere of influence was. And so I made it my goal that first year in Lubbock to be the number 1 new agent that had joined the board at the time in Lubbock. And I did it. I surpassed the goal, but really just at the time, the market was still 2015, 2016, man, I think rates were still at, a little bit closer to where they are now, 5 and 7, between 5.5% and 6%. So people were still buying, and it was still just a steady pace, but it was more of a balanced market versus not like it was during COVID when I moved out to Dallas, where if you had a pulse, people were buying and selling, or, like right now, it's a weird market, right? Like we still don't have inventory, but then the interest rates are kind of keeping people from jumping out and purchasing quicker than they were. So the markets have definitely shifted. So to go from one market where it was a balanced market between buyers and sellers to a crazy, seller's market to a crazy, now again, it's a weird market because inventory is still not there, but interest rates are kind of holding it up because, of rates.
Right. No, that was a great response. And then to Victoria, going from title to real estate and then your background in lending, how did that transition over to being a real estate agent now?
It was really actually, I had a business coach that I was working with who really encouraged me. I think when you're on the vendor side, whether you're a lender, you're in title, you're a roofer, whatever you're doing, the key to your success is your network and your ability to refer.
Right.
And on the real estate side, that's kind of what drove me into that. Was my niche was finding buyers and sellers for my partners. And so when I switched over, it kind of gave me a little bit of an edge. My business coach basically said, why are you referring all these people when you could do what you're doing? So it did help me from a standpoint of terminology, the ability to give the clients a well-rounded verse of when my lender, as yourself, is talking about things, I can really help balance the backside of that with the explanations. In addition to title, just understanding schedule A, B, C. It does give you a little bit of a step up, I would say. I feel like it makes you very well-rounded. That tied into collaborations with other agents and making sure that you're just, the ability to take all of that and give the client the absolutely best experience they can have.
Yeah, and well-rounded, well-versed. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with that. I mean, when I first got into the industry, I didn't really know how the whole process went. I thought, you call up a real estate agent and then boom, you got the money, you pay you get a house and so on. I didn't realize there was so many steps into it. And, dealing with yourself, it's like you've already dealt with half of that,
Right.
like working in that field. So it definitely helps you out, in real estate setting in general. But Randall did hit on a point that I kind of want to bring back up is in 2016, 2017 with the rates and it being kind of a balanced buyer and seller market inside itself. Is today a true buyer's market because of the rates being so high? And if so, what point do the rates need to drop to for it to become more of a balanced market again?
Well, I would say, in my personal opinion, I don't think rates should have ever fallen between, below 3%. I mean, that's where I think a lot of people got spoiled. I love it if people got under 3% because that's great. However, I look at back when I got back, I go back to where it was when I first got in, between 5.5% and 6%, and that's a healthy rate in my opinion. I think we're fortunate here in Dallas-Fort Worth that we have an influx of companies that are bringing their headquarters here, that we have a very solid economy here. And, if people can understand that if rates drop a little bit, it's going to be right back to where we were, 2021, 2022. And to my point, we don't have the inventory. And so if rates do drop a little bit more, we're going to be back into multiple offers. So that's why I say right now, let's not get so caught up with the interest rate and let's buy the home that that you want and that you don't have to fight, tooth and nail to, and give, a sample of your blood to get it. It's one of those things let's get you in the home. And then when rates drop, then let's talk about refinancing. Right. And that's where we can shoot them back to you.
And then Victoria, I guess I can kind of bring up that point to piggyback off of Randall. Why should the higher rates not scare the buyers?
Well, I mean, I agree with a lot of what Randall's saying 100%. I think the media really puts so much out there. And this is where the expertise comes in, right? And trusting the partners and listening. I've always been a component of, marry the house, date the rate. People are always going to need to buy and sell. And the reality of it is when you're choosing a real estate agent or a lender, they do that for a living. So to Randall's point, if the rates are really low, now we're in multiple offers. When the rates are higher, people are panicking. I think really what you have to do is get with your professionals, understand what your goals are. And when you find the house, buy the house. I can't tell you how many people I know we deal with that, we're talking to now who bought a house because the rates were low, but it really wasn't the house they wanted. And now they're in a situation where they want to get out of that house, but the rates are a little bit higher. So, it's a catch-22. So I would just say it's always a good market for real estate. And when you find the house, work with your professionals, marry the house, and date the rate.
Right. No, that's a great saying to go by too. I guess we can kind of jump over to more of the lending side. What do you guys look for in lenders? Obviously, being in the business multiple years, you've dealt with probably numerous lenders. What are some things that you look for, particularly in lenders, or things that you've saw in lenders in past years where it's I just don't understand why they would do something like that? And we can start with either of you guys.
I would say I have a little bit of PTSD right now because I just got off of a crazy whirlwind of a situation actually on Monday.
Oh, wow.
And real quick, I'll say this, communication is everything.
Right.
I had a situation where I was representing the seller, buyer's lender, called title company in the bottom of the ninth, inning on Monday and said, hey, we're not going to accept some verbiage that you guys want to add to, Schedule B. I found out at 4:57 on Friday afternoon that this was going on. And so had there been communication from the lender side of things, I could have jumped in as a seasoned agent, knowing that I've been through experiences like this before and been able to maybe not have to jump through so many hoops up front, but instead, because there wasn't any communication or because there wasn't some things that were maybe sought out in the beginning by lender, it could have all been avoided. With that being said, it then took me to having to really turn to my team of people that I normally work with on a daily basis and have to call them and say, hey, look, can you flip this deal? Title's not going to give on the verbiage that they're using, that they need to be added to, that needs to be added to Schedule B of the title commitment, and lender's not going to accept the verbiage. So the deal's done. How quickly can you flip it? She knew immediately because they work with multiple underwriters. She knew the particular title company that they were working with. She knew which underwriter not to call. And she was able to then say at 5:45 on Monday afternoon, I need you to get me A, B, C, D, and I'll have this thing ready for you guys to sign tomorrow. So in less than 24 hours, I think it was more like 12 to 14 hours, every Warren with Independence Title was able to take the information from the previous title company and flip it. And my sellers were actually able to sign, and we actually funded today because she was able to turn that around instead of us letting the deal die. But to answer your question, communication is everything. You know, I always say, like, don't hide anything from me. Just come to us as with direct facts. Just like, hey, here's the situation. And as business professionals and as a team of people that are trying to get this to the table, whether you're lending team or the listing and sell, you know, the sellings agents, we want to come together and we're all trying to get to the same thing. We all want to get the buyers and sellers taken care of. We want it to be a win-win for them. We're all working to get the thing. I always say it. We're not, this isn't brain surgery. It's truly a puzzle, and I look at it as a puzzle, and you're just taking each day and each moment in real estate is just putting one more piece to the puzzle.
Right.
And then when it's done, everybody's happy and we go on to the next one. But
Right.
hopefully that answers your question.
That was great. And we can move on to Victoria's.
I mean, really, Randall's just handling this for me. I'm going to work for you. No, I agree. Coming from my background in lending, I think one of the first things that I used to share, and I did business development, was there's really no problems in real estate, lending, title. There's opportunities. And the opportunity is being a problem solver, putting the puzzle pieces together. We always used to go by, like, what's occurred, what's our solution, and then we bring everybody in. I think when people get in this limelight of, I don't want to say anything, I don't want them mad at me, they're not looking at the whole picture. When, you know, working with lenders or whomever it is, just talk about what's going on. Because when everybody comes together, that's when the solution or that opportunity occurs. So again, the communication is so key. Answering your phone, everybody thinks, like, for lending, you become a lender and you make all this money, or you get into real estate and you just put a sign in the yard. It is a customer service business that runs 24/7. And the ability to communicate and service the client is, at the end of the day, really what matters.
No, yeah, and both you guys had great responses to that, and kind of follow up with that. It's like, at the end of the day, we're all on the same team, striving to get the same goal, which is, you know, get that house closed at the end of the day. Whether you're from the title all the way down to the real estate agent, we're all looking to, like, succeed with that, with getting the people, you know, the keys to the house.
Well, and at the end of the day, the consumer, who is all of our clients,
Right, yeah.
the consumer doesn't want to hear the problem. The consumer wants to know what we're doing as professionals. They've entrusted us to do this job, what we're going to do to make the difference. And so that's why we don't really use the word problem. We use opportunity, because it is an opportunity to fix whatever's gone wrong. And there's always a solution. It's just, what is it and how do we get to the end goal, which is getting the client, either for the seller, the home sold, or the buyer, getting them in their dream home.
No, that was great. And obviously, to be more optimistic, obviously, not using problem and opportunity instead is great. I guess we can kind of move on to, like, a different angle here. Like, what kind of advice would you give, like, younger generations, kids getting out of college, just like myself, with getting that first time home? Like, would you recommend rushing into it, saving up first? How would you kind of go about that?
Well, you want to go?
I don't care.
So I have young adults, and we're actually going through this. And after doing a lot of research, I mean, I think the old American dream was you get into a house, you pay it off, and you stay there. And that's just not the reality we're in now. Completely new generation of thinking. I think the first thing that I would say is, you know, if you have an opportunity to get out of college, maybe move home. I know not everybody has that opportunity, but if you can stay home, save some money, put it away. You know, a lot of the experts will say your first home should be a rental property. So you're creating income. You know, one of the things that I really strive to do with anybody I'm working with is create wealth through real estate. So even ourselves, myself and my husband, what we try to do is work to get that first home.
Right.
And get what you can afford, make it a home, build your equity, pull your equity, and move on. So I think my message to the younger generation would be, it's not going to be the popular one. Listen to your parents, and really start to figure out what you want to do.
Right, yeah.
You know, if you can stay home, put some money away. I had that opportunity. It really makes sense, because we are, to Randall's point previously, the market's changed. Prices have gone up. So any advantage you can get to really put some money away and get in. And as you know, Michael, in the state of Texas, one thing that's amazing for us here is there are so many land grant programs and programs that other states don't have,
Mhm.
which I think is what makes us really a great opportune state for younger generations, where you've got all these niche programs that can allow people to get into homes a little bit earlier.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I mean, great question. I was just having a conversation with somebody that I went to school with back in Lubbock, and they're renovating a property, and she was telling me, oh my gosh, we're putting so much into this, and I said, but look at it as the real estate that you've invested in to make it your home is truly a savings account. So the money that you're pouring into the property, right, to make it the value of the property increase, is truly a a savings account. So look at it that way as the investment of, you're not just putting all this money into it, you're not losing it, you're gaining value. So you're really just pouring into a whole nother savings account. That is something that you can sell later on.
No, and that's great too, because like when people think about investments, it's all about like the stocks, the S&P, all of that. And they, leave real estate out of it, which I think is just hysterical, because it's the actual tangible investment that you can make. And it can be extremely profitable. Like you were saying, just invest it and keep it, and then sell it in the long run. But I guess, I don't know if to wrap up, but still got time. One question I will ask, because both you guys kind of hit on certain points, Randall, with, a lot of companies moving their headquarters to this state, in Victoria, with specific land grants, or lender grants that we have in Texas that other states might not have. Is Texas the best market in the United States?
I mean, the answer is, I think, let me see how I can place this. I mean, Texas is a phenomenal state. I believe that our government here has done a lot to bring in big companies, to Randall's point, and companies equal jobs, and jobs equal places people want to be. I think you move based on where you can live and afford to live and what makes sense for your family. There's a lot of other great states that, you invest in for different reasons. If you want to ski, you're going to a mountain state. If you want beaches, we do have beaches in Texas, but there's just different places you go. I think we have a thriving economy and a bigger opportunity. I mean, you can still buy a home here for $250,000, and it's a starter home, but everybody has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think we have a really huge opportunity here for everybody. It's just, does that fit in your goals of where you want to be and what you want to do?
Right.
And I would just say, you got to, just like I say in a lot of other ways, you got to meet people where they are. So again, to what Victoria was saying, like you go where your job is. And so not only do we have the jobs here, the great state of Texas and other things like that going for us here, on top of that, we have Tex-Mex, so who wouldn't want to live in Texas?
Yeah,
So that's why I
right.
say
That is a plus. That is a plus.
Is the best place to be when you're, when you're living in Texas. So, it's great. No, I love Texas. I'm from Texas, born and raised. And, I have a lot of family out in New Mexico. I've spent time out in New Mexico, but no other state that I can really see has the amount of people coming to our state.
Well, and two, I think, just to piggyback on that, the developers here are really working hard to bring to Texas some of those things. Like, I'll just use Prosper really quickly. Prosper, Texas, Windsong Ranch. Those developers did a phenomenal job, in my opinion. They've got the Lagoon Lake, which has a beach. So I know when we saw influx of Californians coming here, they all really flocked there because, while it's not, the beach, they've created an area where people can still get that feeling or feel like they're a part of that. And so many new developments with the PGA headquarters coming here, and just these developments that are creating really little cities within their own place. You never really have to leave. So I think, as far as development and what we're doing as a state, especially in DFW, between the jobs, the developments that are coming in, multifamily communities that are being created, I believe there's something for everybody here.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was credit to both of you guys. Again, thank you for coming on. Again, I'm Michael Farrar with SurePath Lending, and I have Randall Zamora and Victoria DeLaCruz.
I thank you. Thanks for
so
having
much
us.
for
Yeah,
having
no,
us.
of course. This was our conversation. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe, like, and we'll see you on the next one.